You ever wake up and feel like you're living someone else's life? Like a version of you just scrolls, shops, clocks in, clocks out, eats, sleeps, and disappears into tomorrow. Same screen, same job, same tired thoughts. And somewhere inside, a quieter voice keeps whispering, "This wasn't supposed to be me." That loop you're trapped in? It's not weakness. It's not laziness. It's not moral failure. Ancient wisdom had a name for it long before dopamine, burnout, and dead end routines. They called it tamas, the force of inertia, heaviness, darkness that slowly steals your will without you noticing. Tonight, I'll show you how tamas hides in modern American life, how it speaks through comfort, numbness, and distraction, and how real courage, not hype, not motivation, but warrior level self conquest can take your life back, one breath at a time. Why this matters to you. Let me say this slowly and plainly. Millions of Americans are quietly exhausted. Not the loud kind of burnout that makes headlines, the silent kind that follows you to bed and wakes up with you in the morning. At some point in life, nearly 1 in 4 adults will battle depression. Millions more are carrying credit card debt, student loans, medical bills, single parent stress, and the invisible pressure to look fine online while feeling empty inside. Every scroll whispers the same quiet lie. You're behind. You're not enough. Everyone else figured life out but you. And that weight, it's personal. Because you don't just want tips anymore. You don't just want another productivity hack. You want to feel whole again. You want to wake up without that dull heaviness in your chest. You want your life to feel like it actually belongs to you. That's why this matters. This video is where ancient spiritual truth meets modern psychological reality. We'll walk through stories you already respect. Navy SEALs breaking at Hell Week. David Goggins dragging his wounded body through impossible ultra runs. Abraham Lincoln surviving years of unbearable darkness before leading a nation through war. Not as inspiration porn, but as proof that the same inner battlefield lives inside you. And I'm not here to feed you pretty quotes or soft platitudes. I'm here to give you a map, a real one, built from tough love and tenderness together. Because inner peace is not soft. It is a daily, disciplined conquest inside your own mind and nervous system. And tonight, you take the first step. What is tamas? The ancient idea in modern American life. In classical Indian wisdom, human nature is shaped by three forces, three currents that pull the mind and body in different directions. One of them is tamas. It is the force of heaviness, of dullness, of spiritual sleep. Tamas is the weight that clouds clarity, that blurs purpose, that keeps you moving just enough to survive, but never enough to awaken. In modern language, tamas is that mental fog that makes your phone feel more interesting than your future. It's the reflex to open Netflix when your soul is asking for growth. It's doom scrolling at 1 a.m., telling yourself just 5 more minutes, while tomorrow quietly slips away. It's the impulse buy you didn't need. The gym session you postponed just for today. The promise to yourself you quietly broke again. And then, the familiar sting of self-disgust in the mirror the next morning. But hear this clearly. Tamas is not just laziness. It is psychic gravity. It doesn't attack you loudly. It sedates you. It whispers later. It convinces you that comfort is the same as safety, that distraction is the same as living. On the surface, it looks like procrastination. Underneath, it is deeper and far more dangerous. Because Tamas slowly trains your nervous system to choose the short hit over the long climb, the easy numb over the meaningful struggle. And over time, those small comforts pile up. They turn into credit card debt, relationships put on pause, dreams that dry up like forgotten puddles on hot concrete. You don't collapse all at once. You slowly settle. Spiritually speaking, Tamas plants a single poisonous belief at the center of your life. You are separate, you are incomplete. Something outside of you will finally make you whole. And so you chase, you scroll, you consume, you distract, not because you're weak, but because a silent gravity is pulling your attention downward day after day. And most people never even realize what's happening. The false split. Me versus the world. Ancient sages had a word for the quiet fracture that lives inside the human mind. They called it duality, the belief that I and the world are two separate things that must negotiate with each other. In modern American life, duality sounds like this. If I just get the job, I'll be okay. If I finally find the right partner, I'll feel whole. If my follower count grows, if the promotion comes, if people approve of me, then peace will arrive. That belief creates two constant shadows in the nervous system, craving and fear. Craving for what you don't yet have, fear of losing what you finally get. So you chase the external, quietly believing it will complete you. But here's the twist most people discover too late. The outer world is not a magic bank that dispenses peace. It is a mirror. If you feel fragmented inside, your external life will always echo that fragmentation, not as punishment, as reflection. You switch jobs, the unease follows. You change cities, the restlessness comes with you. You enter new relationships, the same inner conflict quietly reappears. Because the real work was never out there, it was always in the reflector. The ancient remedy wasn't escape from the world, it was integration, a quiet inner unification that says, your sense of self and the life you see are not enemies. They are reflections of the same inner state. You don't fix the mirror by rearranging the room. You fix the mirror itself. American faces of the same inner battle, warriors, sufferers, and a tested soul. Let's bring this out of myth and into stories you already recognize. Instead of ancient warriors, look at Navy SEAL Hell Week. Human beings willingly step into cold, exhaustion, hunger, and total uncertainty, not to break themselves, but to discover what remains when comfort is stripped away. Discipline there is not punishment, it is revelation. It shows them who they really are when excuses are no longer available. It's not cruelty, it's a kind of homecoming to the self. Then there's David Goggins. People often mistake him for pure macho toughness, but his real battlefield is psychological fog. He uses physical extremity as a way to burn through mental stories of limitation. His message isn't be extreme, it's this: small, brutal acts of discipline can reclaim a lost identity. And then there's Abraham Lincoln, a man haunted by deep clinical depression for most of his life. He didn't positive think his way out of the darkness. He carried it and acted anyway. His greatness wasn't emotional perfection, it was duty under emotional weight. Even the old biblical stories echo this inner law. David facing Goliath isn't just about muscle and stone, it's about placing fear inside a purpose greater than approval. And Job's suffering is not denial or blind optimism, it is steadfastness when meaning itself feels under attack. Across cultures, across centuries, the message is the same: not hype, not escape, but fierce, gentle, consistent discipline breaks the inertia of Tamas, not all at once, but day by quiet day. The shadow of desire. You are not wrong for wanting comfort. The human nervous system naturally seeks relief, but comfort becomes catastrophe when it replaces life instead of supporting it. Social media promises belonging, but often delivers comparison, anxiety, and quiet loneliness. Dating apps promise connection, but train us to swipe, optimize, and commodity human beings. Entertainment promises rest, but quietly conditions us into avoidance as a lifestyle. The more you search outward for completion, the more hollow the center becomes. Ask yourself, gently, honestly, when did your comfort become your identity? If scrolling gives you a hit of dopamine that lasts 7 seconds, and the next 7 minutes feel emptier than before, that flicker is not relief, it's a Tamasic trap. Ancient language was blunt about this. It said, you begin to worship your shadow. You start treating your public image, your likes, your reactions, your digital approval, as an altar where you beg for worth. And the price is always the same: more craving, more anxiety, less inner solidity. This is not a moral failure. It is a cost. And the first step to freedom is not blaming yourself, it is finally noticing the bill you've been paying. Small rituals that beat Tamas. This is the part you can actually use tonight. Ideas are beautiful, but practice is what turns wisdom into muscle memory. You don't defeat Tamas with dramatic life overhauls. You defeat it with small, repeatable acts that quietly return authorship to your hands. Here's how. 1. The 5-minute morning anchor. The moment you wake up, before your phone, before the news, before comparison, take 5 minutes. Sit, breathe slowly. Then write just 3 lines. One thing I'm grateful for. One thing I will do today that I actually want. One tiny discipline. 10 push-ups, 10 breaths, 5 minutes of reading. That's it. This isn't about productivity. This trains your nervous system to feel I start my day, not the algorithm. Ownership begins here, quietly, without motivation speeches. 2. The 30-minute rule. Whenever the urge to doom scroll, binge, or mentally disappear hits, don't fight it with willpower. Just delay it by 30 minutes. During that delay, do something small and physical: a short walk, a glass of water, wipe a counter, stand in the sunlight. Often, the craving weakens on its own, not because you're strong, but because the spell was shallow. Impulse survives on immediacy. Delay dissolves it. 3. Pay yourself first, but for the soul and money, the rich automate savings. In mental health, you do the same. For emotional debt, invest 10 quiet minutes a day into reflection, journaling, breathing, or solitude. For financial stress, automate $5 a day into savings if possible. Not hero moves, micro deposits. Small, consistent investments beat rare bursts of effort every single time. This is how stability is built in real nervous systems, not through inspiration, but through rhythm. 4. The cold start ritual. This is the SEAL mindset scaled to normal human life. When anxiety spikes or you feel overwhelmed, 60 seconds of cold water on your face, or 20 slow, deep inhales through the nose. Cold or breath interrupts survival circuitry. It resets the sympathetic nervous system. It pulls you back from spirals into embodied presence. You don't need ice baths. You need interruptions that remind your biology that you are safe enough to choose again. 5. The nightly tally. Before sleep, write just 2 lines. One thing you did today that aligned with your values. One thing you forgive yourself for. That's it. Tamas feeds on shame. Forgiveness starves it. You are not training perfection. You are training repair. Why these work? The hidden mechanism. Because they rewire the reflex from outsourced completion to internal authorship. You stop waiting for the world to fix how you feel and start becoming the one who participates in your own becoming. Spiritual practice without religion. Non-dual insight for everyday life. But its impact is brutally practical. It simply means this: the seeker and the sought are not separate. You are not chasing peace from the outside. You are learning to stop blocking it from the inside. Psychologically, this is revolutionary. Once you accept that your experience of the world reflects your inner state, you stop turning outcomes into altars of your worth. You still care about results. You just stop outsourcing your identity to them. Here's a simple practice: the mirror question. When something triggers you, jealousy, rage, shame, panic, quietly ask, what inside me does this reflect? Not to attack yourself, not to blame, just to notice skillfully. Over time, patterns appear. Certain posts trigger anxiety because they wake an old story. I'm behind. I'm not enough. I missed my chance. Once named, the story loosens its grip. Biblical language says, be still and know. Vedantic language says, know the self that sees. Psychology calls it metacognitive awareness. Different vocabularies, same truth. Your suffering loses its authority the moment you become the watcher instead of the captive. Discipline as love. The gentle SEAL mindset. Expanded discipline is often marketed as cold, rigid, and joyless. But truly disciplined people aren't punishing themselves. They love their future self enough to say no to their weakest impulses today. Abraham Lincoln transformed grief into duty. Martin Luther King Jr. disciplined his mornings, his voice, his study, and turned ordinary preparation into a movement. That wasn't self-hatred. That was care with a long horizon. Discipline, at its core, is not about control. It's about alignment. You don't become disciplined by becoming harsh. You become disciplined by becoming reliable to yourself. Micro goals. Daily promises kept small enough to keep. Victories so modest they don't make headlines, but quietly rebuild self-trust. This is how identity changes. Not through confrontation, but through repetition infused with meaning. Micro goal plan. Start tonight. Don't redesign your life. Just choose one keystone habit. Not 3, not 5, 1. It can be simple: a consistent sleep time, a 20-minute walk, 10 minutes of focused reading, 5 minutes of quiet breathing. Then attach identity, not ego, not I will become a disciplined person, but I am someone who keeps one promise to myself each day. 1. Daily. Non-negotiable. Small enough that resistance looks foolish. Because identity doesn't change through announcements, it changes through evidence. Then add social accountability. Tell one real person, a friend, a sibling, a gym partner. If you don't feel safe telling a person yet, tell your journal. Write it. Date it. Make it visible. Promise spoken aloud becomes heavier in the soul. And when resistance hits, and it will, split the habit. Make it almost laughably easy. 5 push-ups instead of 20. 1 paragraph instead of 1 chapter. 2 minutes instead of 30. Tamas feeds on large, vague intentions. It collapses under tiny, frictionless certainty. Big dreams need structure. Small steps need only honesty. Integration. When discipline isn't enough, expanded and grounded, spiritual tools and self-discipline are powerful, but they are not the entire answer. Modern mental health care is not weakness. Therapy is not a failure of faith. Medication, when needed, is not moral collapse. They are tools. Just like breath, just like movement, just like rest, you are allowed to use every legitimate instrument of healing available to you. Community is medicine, a church group, a workout partner, a recovery circle, a quiet online forum where people tell the truth without pretending. You heal faster when someone knows your real name in the struggle. Safety plan for dark overwhelm. Ember ready, calm, clear. If anxiety turns heavy, if thoughts turn dark, if the weight feels bigger than your chest can hold, call your therapist. Call a crisis line. Keep the number saved, not as fear, but as preparedness. This is not defeat. This is discipline at the level of survival. Combine prayer or meditation with cognitive tools. Name the thought. Test its evidence. Then choose the action anyway. For financial stress, break debt into rigid, small wins, automated, predictable, trackable. Celebrate each one. Shame is Tamas's favorite ally. Gratitude is its quiet executioner. Faith as the engine, expanded, non denominational, deep. Faith is not denial of hardship. Faith is the energy that lets you continue without certainty, whether you call it God, the self, love, the ground of being, or simply meaning. Offer your small daily actions to it. Not perfection, not heroic devotion, consistency. Consistency heals faster than intensity ever could. Final call. Inner peace conquers chaos. Before we close, let's practice right now together. No performance, no pressure, just presence. 3-minute guided mic practice, slow, calm delivery. Sit upright. Let your shoulders soften. Inhale slowly for 4, hold for 2, exhale for 6. Again, 4, 2, 6. Once more. Now, think of one thing today that pulled you into the scroll loop. Shopping, comparison, fear, numbness. Name it silently. Then ask, without attacking yourself, what inside me was seeking that? Maybe it was boredom, maybe loneliness, maybe the wish to feel seen. Silently offer this phrase to yourself. This is hard, and I am still here. Now choose one micro action. 5 slow breaths. Phone face down. Glass of water. One honest message to a friend. Make the promise, quietly, but clearly. That promise is not cosmetic. It is an act of inner sovereignty. You don't have to climb Mount Everest to be brave. Courage is the small promise kept each day. You are not broken. You are not a prisoner of your history. You are the one who remembers who you are. And when you remember, Tamas loses its throne. If this reached you, share it with one person who needs both discipline and tenderness. If you want more guided practices, breathing sequences, writing rituals, or a 7-day anti-Tamas reset, I'll create it. But for now, start with one promise tonight and keep it.